quantum entanglement and doing parikrama around the Garbhagriha. What is the relation in between these two? Like in quantum entanglement, two objects, if they are entangled quantum mechanically, then what happens? It creates a connection, and connection interacts simultaneously, whether it is many light years away or it is just adjacent to it or near to it. So now this is what quantum mechanical theory says. This is what quantum entanglement says. So when we do circumambulance of Garbhagriha, when we do parikrama around the Garbhagriha, then we that is the quantum entanglement of the consciousness of an individual and the consciousness which is established in that particular idol, that is called pran pratishtha. And that is something wonderful, holistic, and it takes a lot of thorough research and study to understand that. Because when pran pratishtha is done, then during those performances, there are so many things which are involved. Articles are involved, materials are involved, spices are involved, fumes are involved, processes involved, sounds are involved, sounds of various frequencies are involved. So there are all Kshitik, Jal, Pava, Gagan, Samira, all basic 5 elements, and there are many elements which are not element, the pure consciousness, the sound, all the type of light, because we use camphor, we use Agni of Yajna and many types of Agni. It means the pure consciousness, sound, Agni of various types, whether it is camphor or whether it is Agni of putting many things in Yajna and creating those Agnis, and all those Agnis are of different type, different effects, involving, encompassing, enfolding all those consciousness, all those things which are not manifested in that surrounding. By all these processes, this is quantum entanglement enlivening in an object which becomes efficient to make anything which circumambulance, which anybody who do parikrama around it can be quantum, that can create entanglement quantum mechanically. That is quantum entanglement of the person who is doing parikrama around that idol. And then what happens? Whatever those vibrations and pran pratishtha is done in that particular idol, that is not merely an object of stone. That contains all those micro qualities of all those materials, all those agnis, all those sounds, all those frequencies, and all those sankalpas which are on unmanifested level. That is when somebody is performing the puja, and during that puja, the person is quantum mechanically entangled with that supreme consciousness which is running the universe. Then that particular idol on which we are performing the puja for pran pratishtha, then this is the quantum entanglement of that pure consciousness and that idol. And the person who is performing the puja, during the performance of puja, that is when a person because if we know how we perform the puja, the sankalpa is taken. And in sankalpa, what is recited in that sankalpa? Huh? If we try to decode the sankalpa, it is beautiful thing what we'll understand. The sankalpa means we locate this Jambu Dipe, Bharat Khande, this particular in between these two rivers, this is the particular location. So by taking sankalpa, we define the exact GPS location of the person who is performing the puja. So why it is required? Why it is required? Because when we are we are going to perform the sankalpa, when we are doing the sankalpa, then we are inviting that unity consciousness, that infinite consciousness to that particular GPS point, to that particular longitude, latitude, the crossing point of that particular point where a person is performing the puja. And just by inviting that consciousness, which is personified in the form of deity. When any consciousness converts into sound converts into matter, and every sound has a different shape, different color, different effect, different physical and chemical effect. It means when a sound creates any physical and chemical effect, and every chemical has a quality, has a color, has a chemical prominence. So it means every sound is representation of physical chemical properties. And when those things are personified, those personified qualities of all these holistic values personified are called Devata. Devata is made up of Devadhatu. Dev means light and energy. So when this particular idol is quantum mechanically entangled with that supreme consciousness, that particular area which is called Garbhagriha, sanctum, sanctorum, it becomes enlivened. And that's why the Garbhagriha is made. That's why the Kalash is made. That's why the Kalash, the top pinnacle of that Garbhagriha, sanctum, sanctorum, has a particular shape. It has a, amlak, and it goes to finer point value. So what happens? When any mantra is recited, it goes and gets concentrated, condensed on that particular point. And in physics, we know that anything which is compressed, heat is generated. Heat is generated when something is compressed, then heat is generated. What does it mean? That some energy is formed when things are condensed. So when in the Kalasha, inside of that Garbhagriha, when all those mantras are recited, they go to the pinnacle, they go under the Kalash, go to that pinnacle, that point value, then they get condensed. And when they are condensed, certain type of energy is generated. And there is a special shape of Kalasha. Like in transformer we know, that when coiling takes place around the magnet, then when current passes through it, an electromagnetic field is generated and certain field is generated. That's why this fan starts moving. So similarly, when all consciousness, all vibrations, all those things, all those qualities, all those energies, they go and get condensed in the Kalasha, then a certain energy is generated, and when they come back, then it is a special type of, there are so many circles and, so many petals and shapes of concave surfaces and all those things. So that is something which enhances that energy which is generated by recitation of those sounds. And whatever fume, whatever energy, whatever heat it generates there, all those micro energies, they go and get condensed under the Kalash, and by those shapes, when they come back, they move from those shapes. If you see the colors, there are many smaller circle, bigger circle, we have petals, concave surfaces, and all those things. So convex, concave surfaces, and number of, so all those repetitions, all those vibrations, when they shower back on that idol, it manifolds, and the sanctum sanctorum becomes so vibrant. That's why it is not permitted for anybody in any state to go in the sanctum sanctorum easily, unless you perform all those things from that level of purity, from physical purity, mental purity. Then only you can enter in that sanctum sanctorum, because that is the place which creates, which generates, which stores that energy, which has the capacity to entangle somebody who is performing parikrama. Then all those sounds, all those energies, they start performing with the person whom with they are entangled quantum mechanically. So all those qualities which are there in that pran pratishtha, in that idol, that starts functioning in the consciousness of the person who is doing parikrama around the idol. So this is the secret of that parikrama. And now what my avahan is, what my invitation is, what my call is, that I have seen in many temples of India, which are very vibrant, very lively. In the name of security, in the name of law and order, most of the parikramas are banned. They just put a rope and you can't do parikrama all around. In certain temples, like Shivlinga and those, there are different discipline of parikrama. In some places, complete parikrama is not done. That is shastra, that is defined. But in those temples where the parikrama is required and number of parikramas are required, there is a specific number. And unfortunately, I see in many great temples that in the name of security, in the name of crowd management, it was done earlier. But now we have people who understand it. So I request all the persons, authorities responsible for that, to open all those ropes, all those so-called rules, so that one can perform parikrama around the idol of all that temples which are Shakti prominent, which are power prominent, which are source of energy, to revive all those intense power of Indian knowledge, Indian wisdom, Vedic wisdom. It is not Indian basically, it is Vedic wisdom. Because India, the ruler of India was Chakravarti, they were ruling the globe. It's not merely matter of continent. So this is matter of wisdom, that we must revive doing parikrama in all those temples which are the power generators, which are lighthouses, which are the nucleus, which are the center point of generation of that intense power, which has the capacity to transform, to affect, to radiate that energy, which can transform the consciousness of the person who is performing parikrama. So I invite, I offer, I request all the authorities who are responsible to look into it, that in all those powerful temples where parikrama is forbidden long back, because of, I have seen in the name of law and order, I have seen that when there is no rush, there is no crowd, even that time it is stopped. They have a rope and you can't do parikrama. So try to understand, I don't know, how should we say it? Try to understand why all these things were stopped. Now this is the time to revive it. Like Mata Annapurna is brought back by our great Rishi. What Mata Annapurna represent? Mata Annapurna represents the, eternal wisdom of feeding people. Now, what is happening? That when Mata Annapurna came back, and now very nicely with great honor, again established in Varanasi, now 80 crore people are getting food just by sitting. So this is how Mata Annapurna takes care of it. It could have happened otherwise also. So this is the place, these are the energies which were taken away by all those evil forces. I don't know whether I should say it or not, but we must realize that whether we realize or not, but all those forces who are trying to hurt it, they realize the force of it. That's why Mata Annapurna was taken away. Because those people who know that these powerful things work and work holistically and brilliantly and powerfully, they took it away. So maybe we don't know that. We don't know these power of these, but all those forces who are trying not to, all the, India should not become the golden bird again. So how to hurt it? So whatever things are done negatively by all those forces who were not interested in seeing the golden bird of India to revive again, we must undo all those negative things. So I invite all the authorities, I request all the authorities to look into it, that wherever the parikrama is stopped in the name of law and order, just by putting rope and by putting this law and that rule and that must be removed. When we have efficient most administration which can handle crores and crores people in Kumbh Mela, why can't we manage few people in a temple, few hundred or thousand people who want to take parikrama? We see parikrama, thousands and thousands people doing parikrama all over the world in many, many places. So try to understand the power of these power points, these lighthouses, these power generators, and again I request the authorities to look into it and revive in all those powerful temples, the parikrama, to revive the parikrama. Please revive the parikrama in all those temples where it is stopped. And see the power which is generated in the person. There must be a reason. No? Why all these things were made? Why number of electrons are different in different matter? Why number of electrons who are moving around the nucleus, if number of electron changes, matter changes. There is a law behind the doing parikrama, and it has a meaning. So this is the right time, because we know that right people are there who understand it, and I think, I hope, and I foresee that I'll have the joy in my lifetime to see all those temples where parikrama was stopped by any reason. Now in all those temples, doing around the Garbhagriha is revived. And that will create power and strong will and energy in all those people who will do parikrama around that temple. So, an anticipation of seeing everything done properly and revived properly, and undoing all those negative things which were done by not right people. So now I expect that all the temples where parikrama is stopped, it should be revived. Wishing great energy to every person who is interested to do parikrama in all those vibrant, live and energetic temple, Garbhagriha temple.